It's been another strange football season for us here at St Cuthbert Wanderers. Like so many other teams, we've been unable to have a game in front of you, our fans. It's not been the same without you. We've put together a series of videos covering a variety of topics to do with your club to keep you from missing out. This is Saints Behind the Scenes. In this second video, we hear from Jake Gemmell, Elliot Harris, and John Rennick. They tell us about the challenges they faced in their footballing career before joining us at St Mary's.
I'd be 6 when I started, when I first put on the gloves. I was too lazy to play outfield, to be honest with you. I didn't like running about. I was like, nah, it's not for me, even at that young an age. So I played locally for a team called Treggles.
So I started off in London, played with obviously the Leighton Orient development, played in my school, all sorts as well. I think as I was just starting to get used to playing football, was my parents got a move to Dubai, so then we ended up moving out there. Didn't push me away from football, but it made it a bit harder because obviously living in that kind of heat, you obviously have to adapt to how they play as well. So I think when I was at a younger age, it was more, you'd see obviously your Henrys and stuff on the TV and you always wanted to be just like them. We had the Hackney Marshes, we'd seen Messi there and all sorts, so it gives you that dream that you can be there sort of thing if he's coming to an area like that.
During that time I started attending a goalkeeper school. Through that I went to Carlisle United when I was 13, and I was there maybe 3 years. I was there and enjoyed it, loved it, the whole professional setup, everything. It was really good. The coaching was second to none and it was fantastic. But they dropped down a league. They went from League 1 in England to League 2. And with that, obviously, comes some financial constraints, and they scaled down their youth system. Basically told, you've got potential, but there's people there's older boys that are progressing slightly better. So that was it. There was a very few number of us who were kept from my age group. I think there was only 2 or 3, so the whole team was just obliterated essentially. The ramifications aren't just felt by the first team, it's everybody. It's staff, it's youth teams, it's everybody there, which is a shame because, like you said, it was none of our faults. We were just kids. Funnily enough, one of the boys who was slightly better than me was Dean Henderson. There was a few keepers, to be fair. Dean was probably one of the better ones out of the bunch.
The guy that ends up at Man United, he's just one of the better ones. He's
just one of the better ones.
He's alright.
I took a little bit of time out after that. It was kind of a hard one to take at that age. You kind of you grow up expecting hoping to be a footballer, and it just kind of doesn't work out that way.
For me, the biggest change was when I moved up. I played with the YM, who literally floated around the bottom of the league every season. I tried to make the step of going to Abbey Vale, but didn't get the game time. And at the time, they were one of the stronger teams as well. So it was one of those ones where I was starting to question myself as a footballer. Was I able to get to that level, that next step? So I think it was a struggle just in general, maybe moving up here and getting used to how the style of football was. Obviously, when you're in London, a lot of the build-up play comes from just keeping it at the back, and it was finding a team that does want to play like that as well.
Yeah, I went to a junior team called Les Mexico, and that was the first kind of old school manager that I had. So it was actually a guy named Sandy Robertson, who I believe was an ex-Rangers player. So he knew his stuff when it came to football. His coaching was fantastic, and but when it came to the actual games, to this day, like the back four that he picked, every one of them was over 6 foot, and so I became a right mid under him. And I'd done well, really enjoyed it. Got maybe about 3/4 of the way through the season, and I turned up late for a Scottish Cup game one day, and he just fell out of me. And I was quite temperamental back then as well myself, so when I came up, I drove all the way up north to play in a game, and I'd been late, and I'd let him know I was going to be late. And when I got there, he didn't strip me at all, like didn't even put me on the bench because I was late, and he told me that. But I just wish he'd maybe just said, I'm not going to strip you if you're going to be late, you can go back home. Instead he kept me drive like however, I don't know, say 70 miles north to go sit on a bench, or not even sit on a bench, sit on the side of the park and watch. So me being temperamental at the time, I moved on. But again, I'd have preferred to have played right back, but didn't really get the opportunity at all. They did try it in 1 or 2 friendlies and it went fine, but then as soon as it was the actual proper games, they went back to playing their usual 6 foot defenders.
with their standard, they look for a specific type of player. They don't look for someone like me who's a bit smaller and maybe a bit more nimble. They're looking for someone who's quite built, who can hold the ball up and maybe suit a Scottish football, how they play, holding up the ball. And I think that's what a lot of the coaches up here do lack, maybe that little bit of trust in someone who they might look small but they possess a quality that someone won't have who's a bit bigger.
How was it in terms of, I guess, like mentally and psychologically being told like the position that you're good at, the position that in your head you're going, this is where I want to play? It's like, no, and it's not because you're not good enough.
To be honest, it's a hard one to take because even then I wanted to play right back, which is ridiculous because most kids that age want to play further up the park and play up front. I wanted to be a defender. Couldn't tell you why, I just always was good at it and I always just really enjoyed it. Even all the way through, like my dad's always been quite a big influence on my football, and he would come to every one of my games and he would be saying the same thing. He's like, you know, you're enjoying yourself, you're playing well, but you should be playing right back. And I'd be agreeing, but again, I can't obviously make them change the team and put me right back. So hard to take, but I was just more of the mentality. I was at teams, for the most part at any of the team I've been at, I've pretty much been a first pick, whether it's been at right mid or centre mid or even like in behind the strikers or whatever. So I've just kind of got on with it because I've just been happy that I've been playing and enjoying my football.
I then noticed that Aaron Athletic had an open trial for their professional youth team. That went good. I wasn't just playing and training with the pro youth system, I was with the first team as well. I was playing football every day, every single day, which I loved. It was great. I got my first team debut just after Christmas, 27th of December 2014. I was 17 at the time. Big step. Alex Mitchell, who was starting, he came down with a virus on Boxing Day. The build up, the waking up that morning, it's just a blur, to be honest with you. Like the adrenaline and the nerves just hit me. I was terrified, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, it's a pivotal point in your career. I thought it was at the time anyway. I was 17, and it went well. We took the lead very early, about 3 minutes or something. Went on to win that game 2-1. So yeah, that was January. Rest of that season, they actually signed Jordan Hart. That was a hard thing to take, to be honest. You know, I was 17, the massive high of doing well and all the praise and all that, to again, you're not good enough. But that was difficult. That was a difficult one to take. The summer comes round. I'm 18 by this point, and I didn't have a full-time job at that point in time. So I was looking for jobs, and the job came up where I work now at JCB, and I took it. I was an apprentice. We work Saturday mornings, so the contract offer was there at Annan. I had a chat with Jim Chapman about it, and basically decided if I'm working until 12 on a Saturday, I can't commit to going to Elgin, to travelling all around Scotland. So
I had, in some occasions, 2 teams a season for a few years, just between it maybe not working out, maybe having a disagreement with a manager, different bits and bobs that happen in football. And as soon as I hit about sort of 25, and I signed for a team called Lanark United, and that's actually where I played with Ross as well. That was the first team that I really loved. I was there in the end for 5, nearly 6 years, and I was captain there for a couple of years as well. And since I was there, I've started to appreciate what the club does more than rather than jumping from team to team. I've kind of been a bit more picky about where I went.
Before I moved to Saints, I was at Annan, the development team, and Jordan, who's the manager now, was coaching. So I think he had a lot of trust and belief in what I was capable of doing. Finding that manager that does believe in your ability, and obviously the quality that you do possess, is just, will he give you the chance to do it? And he has given me that chance. So
there was a game, it would be February last year. It was 3 when I was still there playing against Saints at St Mary's. I knew then that the setup was very good, and I knew what Jordan was trying to implement. After that game, I was very impressed with the setup. I spoke to Jordan, told me what he was trying to implement at the club, and yeah, I'm on board.
it's one of the most professional setups, if not the most professional I've ever been involved in.
He wants to get you to your full potential. He wants you to go further than what you're capable of. So I think him being at Annan and developing players there and previous clubs that he was at, he's brought it to Saints, and it's working here by the looks of it. It's just, do the players want to keep pushing and pushing to go for more?